Hi, first of all, what company do you work for and why? Tell us some about you.
So hi, happy to be here. I'm currently having two roles. I'm working as a product coach, internal product coach at Sing, which is a German-based company, which provides professional social platform around jobs. And I also have my own consulting company called productdirection.co. And you asked me about my background. Yes, brief history. I've been doing digital products for 2 decades now. I started as a software engineer, so I have an engineering background. But after a few years, I moved into product management, starting with a product owner role, mostly coming from the agile world, but soon realizing that the role was much more than what a product owner says in the Scrum Guide. Yeah, and I have this crazy long learning curve of product management that I've been doing for probably 15 years now. I've been running product teams or leading product teams for 12 years, and I've been working in different industries and different company sizes and different even continents. I'm originally from Argentina. I'm now living in Barcelona, but I've been working in companies such as Despegar, Best Day, now Sing, and everything in between with different product lead titles.
What is your area of responsibility in the company?
Yeah, so I was saying that now I'm doing a role of product coaching at Sing, and I'm doing the same as personal consulting. I would say that my area of responsibility is mostly helping product teams evolve and be more proficient in what they are doing and delivering. So basically, it's all around from the practices they do to the individual skills of the product managers.
Can you tell some about specific of your profession and what points is difficult in this?
What I can tell about product management. So product management sits in the intersection of the technology, the business, and the experience. That itself is already difficult, but most of the time the problem it's around really, we call it prioritizing, but it's not really what's challenging. What's challenging is to understanding all this context, identifying the most relevant opportunities, and making the connection from the goals we want to achieve to the opportunities we have, all the way down to the solutions we are building. So this is how innovation is possible, but I will take the path of making this strategic path very clear, and that's what I really try to focus on most of the time.
What are the top 5 skills needed in your profession?
I will start with the easy one. So the one that we always come up front is empathy. So we need to be able to build empathy with the users to understand their needs, but also say internally we need to build empathy, for example, with stakeholders across the company, especially in large companies where they have different objectives and different needs. So you need to really be able to understand that and put yourself in the shoes of others to really combine these needs into a successful product. The second one I will mention probably is around communication, which is again too broad, but communication we can consider in 2 ways. First one is being very clear and able to communicate with different people at different levels about the product status, which goes all the way from strategy with C-level, all the way down to engineers and why we are doing the things we are doing, which is very different conversations, and you need to be able to switch levels and switch language almost all the time. And the second part of communication is being good at receiving inputs, which goes in the same direction of being able to listen with the wording or the language that the other person has, which may be very different than yours, and you need to be able to do that translation. The third one I will pick is around data-driven analysis. So we need to be very good at kind of all the way from understanding the numbers of the product and the health metrics and different metrics frameworks that are out there, like the pilot metrics or the funnel metrics or whatever, and also being able to do some deep dive analysis and understanding your tools and how to come up with insights from those different tools. The fourth one I will pick is around experimentation or discovery. Again, it's maybe too broad, but it's all about being able to say, okay, I have this level of uncertainty and I'm trying to build more confidence about the topics that we are trying to build. So we are trying to all the time say, okay, this is the minimum effort I can do to gain more understanding, more clarity, or more confidence on the solution we are trying to build or the problem we are trying to tackle. So this level of understanding combines both an array of tools for discovery that you need to understand, but also understanding which is kind of all being able to adapt that to your context, because it's very different from one product or one initiative to the other. I know that the list is running short, but the fifth one I will pick is strategic thinking, which goes back to what I was saying before about this challenge. We are dealing with many topics all the time, and we are juggling a lot of initiatives and opportunities in our heads, and we need to be able to think that from a product perspective, so a bigger picture, and something what are the differentiation we're trying to build, what's the value proposition we're trying to bring to the user, and then really be able to connect what we are doing all the way up to what we are trying to achieve. So this is, I would call it strategic thinking, but it's a pretty broad skill that we need to master.
What do you like about the task of your profession, and what do you enjoy?
So I think that the thing that brings me the most happy, and I hope that all product managers of that as well, is solving hard problems on behalf of our users. So they're bringing value to the users. I'm not sure if this relates to tasks necessarily, but if I need to put one task, what I really say, hey, this really makes me happy, is when you are analyzing the result of something that you launched, that you probably took a couple of months to kind of really clarify the solution and build it and put it in the market. And when you see the results, like metrics of usage and user success and things like that, this is what really brings me joy.
Tell me about your last successful case.
I think that one of the, so maybe I will try to kind of what we have seen recently, and we, going back to the strategy problem and maybe using that as a case, what we really try to do is to refocus the strategy of the shops marketplace, which is basically, if you can figure it out, is basically the shops section of our site. And basically what we're trying to do is to make this into an experience that is fitting to the user preferences for a shop. So not being kind of, you search for, discipline and a place, and you kind of see a big list of job ads, but making more explicit connection to what you really want in a shop. We did many things from, for example, connecting with the insights with other companies, or connecting with the network of other people working there, and exposing insights that you can consume to be able to make a more informed decision, a more tailored to you decision. And was very successful because we really connected to a user problem, what we were saying, kind of trying to don't see a big list of random ads or job ads, but really see the shop listings that were fitting to you. And on the other hand, we will really be able to drive the metrics up, which turn out the business success in terms of more people really applying for the shop. So we kind of see the both sides of the coins, which was very, very interesting.
Tell me about your last failure that you had.
Only one. I was working for a travel company, which different businesses, and you can think about, for example, Expedia, which is kind of selling different travel products in the portal. But this company had on top of that in-destination experience, meaning that we will kind of have people arriving to the airport, and we will do transportation for them to the hotels, and we will give them activities while they're away in their destination. We were trying to introduce some more connection to a digital experience on destination, so we're trying to build an app for the users to use during their stay. Yeah, basically we launched that, and we kind of were building the space. Luckily, it was more kind of I would say an MVP. That was a very tricky word, but it was basically a smaller version that will add some value to the user, but we're really trying to validate if the user would actually use something like that. And the result was kind of disastrous in terms of users, because users were very not willing to install a new app in destination. So imagine you are at the airport and you are kind of, after a long flight, trying to get to your hotel, and we're presenting you with this opportunity. Hey, download our app to find experiences. There was not really the mental mood that users were in at that moment. Even though we know that they have this need to know the experience that were in destination, overall journey was not fitting. It was a big failure in terms of adoption and being able to activate users. Well, we dropped that. We redid it later with different flavor, but that was an interesting failure. And going back to what I was saying, it lies on the difficulty of understanding the user needs, because we thought we understood the user need, but the problem was more about the journey than the need itself. So you need to understand things at multiple levels to be able to find the right solution.
What is your favorite tool or technology, and why so?
I'm just thinking about Miro from that context, because I think I use it for multiple purposes. So my kind of customer journeys within the Miro, or multiple collaboration things. But I think that during the pandemic really unlocked a new level of collaboration, and now it's probably the situation of many teams that they cannot live without it. So that's the one that comes to mind. It's very, very used and enjoyed too.
What would you recommend as a must-have to learn before going to the first interview for your profession?
Product management is a hard piece to master. I think that, as we were saying, there are kind of multiple skills. I mentioned 5, and probably if you give me more room for more, I will be able to measure more, and all of them are important. So it's hard to pinpoint one. And the other thing that is also challenging is that most of the time, I'm saying that product management is a discipline that you learn in the field. So it's not something that you can go to school and kind of with something. Maybe to give a more concrete answer and more hope to those trying to jump into the profession, I think that if you think about the career progression of product managers, we usually start with trying to do very well on a feature level. So trying to be very successful in launching a feature inside product. For that, I can't say only one, but there are 3 things I think are important. The first one is mastering the agile side of product, which is mostly around the kind of the product owner ceremonies and hats that you need to wear there, and writing user stories and the things that come with that. And that's the easy part, so to say that. The second one, important one, is being able to do discovery, and for a feature level, there are very practical discovery practices, and the most easy one is prototyping. So prototyping and interviewing users based on that prototype is very kind of frequent use case and something that you can pair with UX professionals, for example. And the third one is the data analysis that, again, from a very particular feature level, is trying to understand what's your success metric and how you measure it with any particular dashboard that you want to build. So if you got these 3 things, probably you can handle an initial job managing a feature.
What research do you read? What books or maybe you recommend? Maybe YouTube channel?
I think that there's myriad of resources, and I usually say that depends on your learning style. For example, I'm an avid reader, so I read 40 books, 50 books per year, so it's something I really consume. But if you are a reader as well and you want to learn about this discipline, the go-to book is Inspired by Marty Kagan. That's kind of the number one you need to read. There are other good books, like, for example, the Lean Product Playbook by Dan Olsen and so on. So yeah, if you're going to go that way, there are a few books. If you are more on the kind of continuous learning and reading more short-term form articles, there are a couple of resources, like, for example, in Medium, if you follow kind of the product management tag, I'm sure it's called tag, but whatever the category, it's full of great writers in that field as well. I would say there are kind of a few publications that are good, like Product Bootcamp. Yeah, there are a few of them are quite good, like Box Product Management, but anyways. And the other thing that they are also good is the some of these people Substacks newsletters. I have one if someone wants to check out productdirection.substack.com. But also there is, for example, Sean Kotler is a very interesting thought leader that has many articles in Substack. And finally, we split the streaming part in two. The first one is podcasts. There are a few good podcasts. For example, Mind the Product has a very interesting podcast called The Product Experience, something like that. I have a podcast on strategy, which is called 100 Product Strategies, interviewing product leaders. And in terms of YouTube, I don't follow any particular channel, but most of the authors of the books will have some sort of talk available on YouTube. So if you really like videos instead of reading, then you can probably, you type the title of the book and the author name, and you will find a YouTube 1 hour whatever keynote explaining the same topics, and it's another good way to know.
And we'll have the next week for the Camp U conference. So what can you say for our communities, for speakers, volunteers, participants, maybe some kind words for all us?
Yeah, so I think that I will be a bit sharing, but I think that going back to the question that you asked before about learning, I think that this particular job is something that requires you to be constantly learning, and a very interesting way to learn our conferences. So I think this is the ProCamp is showing a good other speakers. I will just be in the average side, but just kidding. But I think that joining this type of events helps you really trigger some thoughts that you didn't have naturally. So when, for example, when you are reading a book or reading an article, you mostly are searching for a topic and going to learn a topic, but conferences can trigger these new ideas that you didn't have in your radar. So it's a very interesting way to be learning. So I really encourage everyone to attend and to make the most of it.